Sorry, can you do it again? Yeah. All right.
I think one thing that I've realized is that, the short-term outcomes and sort of short-term impacts, don't always work because some things really take a long time. Some of the problems that we're dealing with have been problems that have existed for decades, if not centuries, and, they're not going to be cured in a year or two. So sometimes there is that sense of impatience, right? I mean, we want to, move faster. We want to get things done.
It's a simple matter of a mindset change, but it's a significant mindset change. So if you feel that you're equal to everybody else and can strive the other way everybody else strives and can achieve the results that based on that striving, then you will strive. If on the other hand you feel that you don't deserve to achieve those results, no point striving.
Hello and welcome to Up Close and Personal, Season 3, where we dive deep into the heart of collective action, leadership, and education equity. I'm your host, Alron. Today, we have the utmost pleasure of interviewing Mr. Vivek Raghavan and Dr. Nilima Raghavan, who are both philanthropists at heart. Vivek, Nilima, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
You know, we have, of course, we have been speaking for a year and we've been talking for a year on multiple things at Mantra. I just want to check and understand where all this motivation came from to be supporting various causes across the world for you guys, yeah?
Yeah, I'll start with that. I was raised in a family with Gandhian values. My father's family worked in the freedom struggle. My uncles went to jail during the freedom movement, and we were always raised with the idea of service. My father had this quote where he said that you're just the custodians of the money that you have, and that eventually it needs to be given back to society. He also grew up in a really poor household. He studied by the street lamps because there wasn't enough oil in his house for lamps in the house. And was fortunate that there were people in his life who mentored him, supported him, and he came to America, did his master's there, and then went back to India and did very well for himself. So I think, always raised with those values that you need to give back to society. And that any success that we do have in our lives is always based on help from others. We never get to where we are just truly all by ourselves, but we're helped in many ways, big and small, by countless other people. And similarly, we too play a role in the lives of countless other people in many tangible and intangible ways. So I think that's where my inspiration comes from.
And, because I'm picking up the aspects of working with people and through a larger cause, Vivek, I just want to check, because all these goes towards the talk of collaborative action, collective action, shikshagra in general. Where does that come from? Why do collaboration? Why do collective action with so many different entities around the world? Why is it more important now than ever?
So first of all, my background is in developing products for the networking space. I'm an engineer,
Right.
and I've kind of grown up in this industry in America, but always had that desire to develop products that allow people to communicate in high technology. But I've noticed in both my career that you can't get anything done without collective action, without leading teams that are similarly motivated and aligned. And even most complicated products require so many people with different skills working together. So I earlier on developed the capability to lead teams. Maybe it was an inherent in me, but it certainly emerged early in my career. So I've learned how to do that, how to collaboratively lead teams to achieve both a business purpose, a technology purpose, and then obviously the same thing applies in the social sector. So, but I guess my motivation to help build teams and collaborative action to solve society's problems I can't trace it directly to my parents like Nilima can, but my father, I know, was himself involved in such activities earlier on. I have a long line of ancestors. I've trying to discover where that spark came from, but it came from me, but it probably was inherent. So now I'm applying all of those principles I've learned in business, in developing products and technology to collaborative action in the social sector.
Just one follow-up question on that. You said leadership comes inherently from you. Did you see signs of this when you were in school, in college? Did you see those signs that you can lead a team or you can lead people?
Yes, I did.
Any few
So,
examples you can give us? Yeah.
well, many, many examples. I mean, right from the early days, I saw signs of that. I didn't recognize that necessarily as a sign that of an emerging leadership trait, but I did see signs early. I was involved in, even in school, I was involved in activities that helped the community. I was a Boy Scout and I became a President Scout. So I early in life I had that. I think I had that spark, and it kind of developed from there.
And I just wanted to add that, one quality that I saw in Vivek very early on, and that's inspired me since the beginning of our relationship, is this being a fierce advocate for justice and for fighting inequity. And this is something that he had right from early on, and I feel like I've really learned from that too, to how to, even in his college days, he was in an engineering school, but he was writing essays. He was the editor of their college magazine, and he was writing all these articles about injustice and inequity around the world. Not quite engineering topics, but how engineers can actually work together to change that. And I know that it was something that really impressed me when I first met him. So we were both very fortunate that we had those same principles, so we could work together later on. Yeah.
You know, there's this trend happening on social media right now, on TikTok, on Instagram, or wherever it is, where because we're in 2026, people are uploading photos from 2016, before the boom of tech, boom of, internet. People are posting those photos because that's the last time they were truly happy or posted happy on social media. On that note, how has the last 10 years been for you guys? Like, how has personal growth been for you? What is the biggest change you have seen in your thinking, in your mentality, in terms of your giving, or in general in your personal life? I just was very curious. Maybe Nilima, you can start.
Yeah. Well, there's a change that comes naturally with age, right? I mean, our lives change. And for us, early on, we were completely preoccupied with our work and our families. That was all consuming, and that was most important. We have three wonderful children, and happy to say that each of them has a social conscience too. So we've been able to inculcate that. When our youngest left for college, that's the time that we realized that this was time for us to begin our journey, giving back to society. We had done our job with our families and with our children, and I think the biggest growth that we now see is that we have the time, and we luckily still have the energy to sort of do this work, the philanthropic work. We're both not really into the social media and so on. But I think that that's the biggest change that we see.
Vivek, anything to add? Yeah.
Right. So social media has developed in the last 10 years, and that has really not affected the way we think. But what has really changed for us is, as Nilima said, our kids have their own life now. So they've left and pursuing those lives. So we have more time. But there was a kind of a defining event that got us into this, which is we always wanted to somehow contribute. The defining event that happened was when Nilima's dad passed in 2012. He bequeathed all his assets to a social cause. So we created a trust, and we call it the Motivation for Excellence, a charitable trust. And and Nilima, her brother, her sister, who has since passed, and myself, we got together and decided to use that money and develop partnerships with NGOs and essentially give that money away to different NGOs So we started that philanthropic journey then. And we've had philanthropic activities prior to that point, but I think now we've come up with a more strategic way of giving money and becoming philanthropists with sort of principles and then doing it more systematically. So that was the defining moment that helped us, and we will use our learnings of that going forward.
Any particular moment in your philanthropic journey, since motivation for excellence, any particular moment that when you started it that came to light, you're like, okay, we're on the right track? Any moment as such that you can tell us? Any example?
It's an evolution, really. I mean, I don't think there's a specific thing. Uh, we've never seen it being as more success now than 10 years ago, because every philanthropic act has breeds something else, and so successful in its own way. So I don't think that there was any specific thing, but I think there's been some general principles that we have. One is that we don't seek any recognition from this. Just the act alone, the impact of that is adequate. That was one thing. So we tend to be somewhat understated because we have that philosophical underpinning, not just myself, but all of us. The rain cloud effect. The rain cloud creates rain, fertilizes the earth, but then the rain cloud disappears.
Right, yeah.
So I borrowed that, by the way, from somebody else, but from the Tirukkural. But that's kind of our philosophy. And I think we've been successful on an ongoing basis. Probably have achieved more impact later on a per rupee invested basis, only because we learned how to do it. But I wouldn't begrudge anything we did right from the beginning.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there have been lots of learnings
Right.
in our journey. To me, one wonderful, I think, effect also of this journey together for all of us is, how it's brought us together and how, as a team, the Motivation for Excellence team capitalized on sort of the different strengths that we had. We're all different. Vivek's an engineer by training and an entrepreneur. I'm in the healthcare field.
Right.
My brother was in finance. So we were really able to come together as a team and capitalize also on our differences. And so we really learned how, these differences make a stronger team together. And I completely agree with Vivek. They're learnings. I'm not. I don't like to call them failures. Yeah,
Right.
they're
Yeah.
experiences. They're learnings. And I think one thing that I've realized is that, the short-term outcomes and sort of short-term impacts, don't always work because some things really take a long time. Some of the problems that we're dealing with have been problems that have existed for decades, if not centuries, and they're not going to be cured in a year or two. So sometimes there is that sense of impatience, right? I mean, we want to move faster, we want to get things done, but we've also I think we understand now that some things do. And then along this journey, I would say that I just feel so blessed and feel very inspired to, come across some amazing people that are doing this work. And so that has been a joy to see so many young people, do this work. That has been a very wonderful part.
No, especially in the context of systemic work, the impact will take time. You have to be patient, and it'll take time. And one day you will reach where you need to reach. Before I'm gonna take break from my questions, I have this red flag and green flag, Nilima, and what I would request you is to pick either one, and I'll tell you what they are. If you pick up a green flag, I'll ask you a positive, straightforward question about education. But if you pick up a red flag, I'm going to ask you slightly more difficult and fairly complicated question on education. I'm going to leave it to you. Which one do you want to pick up? You'll have to pick up and hold it until you answer.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter. I think I'll start with the difficult.
Yeah, it's just one chance. Yeah, so it's red.
Sure.
Yeah. What is something we are still not talking about philanthropic giving. Like, how do you think the next 5 years, 10 years would look like in terms of education, and still something that we're still not talking about?
Okay, so do you mean that in terms of philanthropic giving or education in general?
Uh, Philanthropic giving is what I'm more curious on. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, and I don't know if this exactly answers your question, but one aspect of philanthropic giving that raises questions and concerns for me is that there are so many big players out there in terms of people with a lot of net worth and the ability to give so much that there is a risk that these few individuals can direct policy without completely understanding the needs on the ground, what the needs of the people are. And that I see as a problem. It can be good because there is all this money, but I also see that as a problem because they that these individuals have the ability to sort of direct the way education policy is going. And that could be concentrated in the hands of a few people. And then it also means that it could be taken away at some point or the direction could change. So that I think is an issue and a problem.
Vivek, if I would ask you the same question, but on terms of education, what is something we're not talking about for the next 5, 10 years?
In education.
Yeah, just particularly in education, yeah.
So, I strongly believe that there are some fundamental disablers that have to be overcome in order to, it's actually, education is going to contribute to that, to overcoming those disablers, but it's not just education. In India, there are hundreds, tens of millions, maybe 100 million children and people actually who feel disempowered, who not feel disempowered but accept being disempowered because of the social inequities,
Right, yeah.
social structures,
Fair, excellent point.
where it's a simple matter of a mindset change, but it's a significant mindset change.
Right, yeah.
So if you feel that you're equal to everybody else and can strive the other way everybody else strives and can achieve the results that based on that striving, then you will strive. If on the other hand you feel that you don't deserve to achieve those results, no point striving.
Right, yeah.
And that is fundamental. And for me, it's a big issue, particularly in India, as we know what the cause is, kind of the caste system and things like that, that disempowers tens of millions of people who don't even want to strive because they accept where they are. If somehow that mindset can be changed, it'd be an amazing thing for the nation. But it is where it is right now. But that needs to work. Education can help that, as long as the educational system promotes that. So I feel that's a really important aspect.
No, but that's such an interesting point, Vivek, because on the point of having that backward mindset or change the mindset takes me back to our work in Karnataka and Bihar, where we're doing Shiksha Chaupas and Shikshana Chowdis, respectively, where we are working with women federations who go to villages and are trying to change that mindset in families about not having to send these girls for early marriages, but actually putting them back in school. So your point reminds me of that. Before I get to my final question, I've been doing a lot of long questions and long answers. I just want to do a quick rapid fire question, right? So I'm going to ask you either or. Like if I'm looking Vivek, I'll ask you, then I'll ask you Nilima. So you can just tell me either or which one is your preference. Yeah? All right. Vivek, would you rather teach in a school or a college?
Rapid fire.
Yeah.
I would rather teach in a college.
Nilima?
School,
Would you rather work on policy or on the ground?
on the ground.
Policy.
Yeah, interesting. Would you rather lead a small team or a large organization?
Large organization.
Small team.
This is very interesting. Would you rather have funding security or creative freedom?
Creative freedom.
Creative freedom.
Would you rather change one system deeply or many systems slightly?
One system deeply.
One system deeply.
finally on this, would you rather work behind the scenes or in public facing role? Nilima first.
That's a hard one. Say that again. Oh, behind the
Behind the
scenes
scene
or?
public facing role?
I don't know that I have an answer to that. I could do either. It really depends upon what I'm doing and the impact.
Fair.
Yeah, I could
Public
do
facing
either.
role.
Yeah, okay. You know, we have been talking about history, we've been talking about problem statement and everything. For my final question, I want to put us in a fantasy land. Let's say a genie comes out of a lamp and says, hey, I'm going to grant you 3 wishes. And those 3 wishes will lead to education equity all over the world, right? And you can wish for anything. Of course, you can't wish for obvious things such as more wishes or more money or whatever it is. So I want to check what those 3 wishes would be. Vivek, starting with you, what would be your first
Wait, what's
wish?
the ultimate, the wishes for what? What's the ultimate vision?
Education equity around the world. Yeah, Vivek?
Remove the kids' mindset that they are not equal to everybody else, and be able to approach the world as if all of us are the same.
Nilima?
More buy-in from the children themselves, so that, they can direct their own learning a little bit. More freedom in the school
Yeah.
for them to learn. Yeah. And
Yeah, sorry. No, sorry, you finish
oh
it.
yeah, I thought you said there were 3. So I
Yeah, I
were
was
there
going to
3
say
wishes or no? Go back. Yeah, go to
3
Vivek,
for each
yeah.
of us, or 3 total?
I was 3 in total, but we can do more as well. More
Oh,
than happy
okay.
for more wishes. Vivek, third wish?
The recognition at the central and state government level that education, not just education equity, but getting the kids completely trained for the next 2 decades of the world global economy. That's strong recognition and execution of that.
Nilima, sorry, I know you were thinking of one more wish. I'm going to ask
I
you.
was just saying, equity for women and
Right, yeah.
education for women, because just so much is tied into that, and true equality and freedom for women. I think
Thank you.
that would
Yeah,
be.
hopefully, I hope our wishes all does come true one day, and hopefully we see that future one day. Thank you both, Vivek, Nilima. It's been an honor. Just not this, but talking to you yesterday at InvokED and here today. But also over the last 1 year that I have had the pleasure of talking to you online and now here in Bangalore. Thank you for our audience for tuning in. Stay connected, keep the dialogue going, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you. Nilima,
Thank
it was
you.
an honor. Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Thank
Vivek,
you.
it was an
Great
honor.
questions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.